What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video of code exchange. And previously we left after installing our node modules and React and other dependencies for the node, and we made sure that our application's up and running and we did not crash anything. So in this video tutorial today we're going to work on creating an application for our Django project, and we will be working on accounts app. Basically this application will handle the user management and user settings for our project. So let me get started. I'm going to use the default terminal provided by PyCharm for running my commands and everything in this video and all the future videos, because it automatically activates the virtual environment that we have set up for our project, and we are already in a root directory of our project. So everything looks good. So I need to actually run the command to manage.py command. So I'm gonna go ahead and open my manage.py command, and I'm gonna do start app account. Looks good. Alright, everything looks good. We got admin, apps, models, test, and views. So let's get started with models. I'm gonna go ahead and close all these files because we don't need them. I'm gonna come here, minimize this one, and what we are going to do here is create accounts user model for the accounts, and we will be creating a custom user manager class for that. So let me start with the class custom user manager that extends to base manager. It's base user manager, and let's import from Django. So what this base user this custom user manager class will do is that it will handle the transaction of creating user account for us. So this one will have a default definition method, create user, always passing the self. We want email, we want password for sure. We can tell it like whether the user is staff or not, whether user is super user or not, and we will be passing some extra fields. Alright, let me explain all these keywords right now. Inside the create user function that we are passing right now is email, password, is staff, is user, super user, and all the other variables, all the other information in it. So what I'm gonna do, that if not email, basically if there is no email provided, we will be raising value error, and I'm just gonna say the given email address must be set. Okay, because we obviously want them to pass email to the user class. I mean, to create the user, what we need is email. We also will need the username, but we will come back to there. So now let's go ahead and email. I'm going to do equals to self dot normalize email, and I'm going to pass in email equals to email. So what this function is going to do, it will normalize the email, like, you know, if there's a special character or whatever, it will just do it for us. It will check the email, like if it's a valid format or not, etc, etc. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do user equals to self dot model. This is also a function that our custom user manager extends from the base model. Let me go ahead and show you the base model class. So you can see there's a normalized email function, We can randomly create a password if we want to, but we will not be doing that. We will be using the password from user that it's given from by the user. And we will be using mainly this function to create a user using terminal, using the command line, using the Django's manage.py file. But I'm just going to show you guys how to create it. So if you need to install the application on the server and create a super user or admin user, you can use this functionality to create your first user to have access on the website. So this is our base user class, and we can also use the abstract base user manager base user. This one gives us the default information. Everything is out there about these classes on Django's documentation, and we do not need this one a lot, so we will not be getting into details. My major focus is to write a custom classes, a custom views, my custom code, design, layout, how to implement React and other third-party APIs if we ever need to. And so we'll be focusing on all of the stuff. These stuff are like pretty much out there on the Django's website. As an example, you can find it over there, and I would suggest, like, if you find it here, or like you can literally just copy and paste this class for your custom user class, because this information does not need anything extra. You know, it's a pretty much a standard. It's a pretty straightforward. So inside the self.model, we'll be passing email equals to email. We want the serialized email. We want everything else. So isStaff equals to isStaff is super user equals to is super user last login. I cannot type it. Equals to I don't know what's going on. Okay, timezone dot now. Now we need to import time zone, and there are two different time zones. If I can spell it correct. Okay, there are two different time zones. There's one given by datetime module from the Python. There's the other one given by Django util time zone. You always want to use Django util's time zone, because Django will take care of converting time to UTC and managing it for us. So let's import Django util's time zone, and also I want to do is date joined equals to timezone dot now. What we can do is that we can create a now variable, so we have the same. I'll go with underscore now. So we have the same last login and date joined information for this user whenever we create. And lastly, I want to pass all my extra fields. So if I have any other information in the model, it will pass everything. Now once the user is created, what we'll be doing, user.set underscore password, and we'll be passing the password here. It requires role password, which we'll be passing here. Basically, whenever we use this function here, we'll be passing the role password, which would look like something like ABC123, something like that. So that's why we are passing the role password. After that, we want to save our user. So let's go ahead and save our user using, because we want to specify what user, and self underscore db. Looks everything good. Let me check, make sure everything looks good. Yep. And yes, self underscore db is also coming from the base manager class. Let me see, because it's extending to models manager, it should come somewhere here. I mean, I can take you guys all the way up until I find it right here. So base manager, here we have self db, which Django takes care for us. So we're just telling Django to, hey, use whatever database I told you to use to create this user, and create the user for me. And I want you to now return user once it's done. All right, pretty much we covered how to create a user functionality, and it's very simple. It's not gonna require anything crazy. It's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna make a note here, so I want to put some comments also. If mail is not provided, we will raise an error. Alright, looks good so far. I'm gonna we don't comment for that because it's pretty much it's pretty straightforward class. Alright, let's come here down and try to write our user model here. And by try means I don't know what fields we may or may not need right now, so I'm just thinking, give me 1 second. We obviously need email, we need password, we obviously need username. We wanna know if it's a staff or not, if it's a super user or not. And super user means like we are creating an admin account. So like if this project of yours, you are creating a blog application and you have 5 writers who's writing content for your blog website, and if you are an admin, you can see all of that data, because you don't want your user A to access user B's data. He can read it, but he cannot like go ahead and modify or anything, and user B cannot do the same for user A. But as an admin, you want to make sure that your authors, they write the good content. If you want to modify something, if you have a suggestion or something, as an admin, you can just jump between anybody's account and you can go ahead and update it, because you are super user. Is staff also provides a similar thing, but we don't need to worry about it. It's mostly like if you're creating groups or teams or something, it's like that situation, so we don't need to worry about it. The other thing is that any function inside a class that starts with underscore, it's basically kind of like a reserved, I would say, for Django's class usage. I don't know how to explain that thing, but what basically we are going to do, like whenever I call C equals to custom user manager, and I should not call this one because it won't pop up there. Create, yes, it's not coming there, but let me go ahead and create user, and I'm just gonna go ahead and copy everything from here. Everything looks good. I don't want these guys, and let's say password equals to none. I also don't want to pass the password, so basically I'm just passing the username, and default one would be that's none, and I want to return self dot underscore create email equals to email, password equals to password, and then I'm passing extra fields here. So now I can call c.create user. So this underscore classes are like a static method or class level method. We cannot call it outside from the class. That's why we need to create another function that user, not viewer. Oh god. Okay, that's why we need to create another function that we can okay, so that's why we need to create a function that we can use to call outside after the class is instantiated, and this is the underscore class name, function name. All right, okay, so far so good. Let me make another comment here. Classes create user function. All right, now we're going to create our actual user model here, so let me go ahead and start working on it. User, I want abstract base user, which we will need to import from Django, and also I want permission mixin. Oops. permissions mixing. All right, so because we are creating our custom user class to handle the custom user model, we are not going Django's user route, we are going to use our own custom. We need to import these two parent classes. What is the abstract base user class? Let's go ahead and see it. It's a custom model that puts this information inside the model, and we don't need to worry about taking care of password and last login. Let it take care for us, and that's why we are extending to the username base class. We can also get get username function and some other functions right here, check password, blah blah blah. And the permissions mixing, this one handles the permission for us. As I talked about, being an admin for the website, is super user. It defines the super user status, groups, user permissions, etc, etc. So that's why we need to extend to the permissions mixing too, because as I say, Django will take care of the user level and permissions for us. All right, so let me go ahead and start. Email equals to models.email email field, and what I'm going to do, I am going to from Django.utils.translation import ugly text lazy as underscore, and in a minute you'll know why I did that. So email address. Okay, so this is first parameter inside the email field is help context, help text, or email field, or any other field. Like if we go to our abstract base, see password char field, and help is the password, last login, the help text is a password. So basically we are just telling like what this field represents. So that's a help text. For that we want max length equals to 254 characters, unique, true. Obviously I don't want you guys to come to my website and spam my database by using abc@abc.com like 100 times. So I want every email to be unique. There's only one email address exists in my system, and that's what we want. And my means I'm just representing, like that's what everybody wants right now. You cannot have like same email address with the two different users. Let's say let me tell you a practical example in this one. Even if we allow two user accounts that has the same email addresses, user 1 and user 2, what if user 1 forgot his password? I said the request like send me reset password link. Now system will get confused like which account is trying to reset the password, user 1 or user 2. So just like the username, just like the email, you also want username to be unique. So I'm just gonna copy this bad boy and username, and it's gonna be char field, and the help text would be username. I want max length to be 25 characters. It's too much. Let's go at 15. Yes, I don't want more than 15 characters of username. Like my username is pretty much would be like my own name, like Viral or maybe Viru. But I also don't want users to have like 1 characters or 2 characters username, at least like 4 characters. So we will take care of it when we create form and everything. It's gonna be in the future one, but right now we're just working on the model. So all right, so we got our username covered. Let's go ahead and create first name. It's gonna be same thing. I should just copy it. First name don't want to be unique, otherwise there cannot be two Viral in the system, and system will like, no, we don't want 2 Virals, we just want 1, yay. And no, that's not what we want. So first name, if I can type it correctly, and first name. I'm gonna do same with the last name. I'm gonna do last name. All right, now I want to make sure that user is active or not, because what if user is violating, you know, the policies and the terms and condition of usage. We can simply put a boolean value there, and just come with here, like, you know, is active. I want boolean field, and I want to say is user active, not I active. Okay, and I want to give it a default. Should I give it a default or not? Let's give it a true for now. I'll explain why I did that. And this one should be the help text, so it's all right, and is active. So this first parameter is also can be used as a label for the field. So what is the email field label? Email address. What is the username field label? Username. Is active field label? Is active. And now I'm telling, like, you know, because this is kind of confusing, the label and name, I can also pass the help text, which is user active? Yay. All right, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a duplicate of it here, verified. Let's go ahead and say is email verified, because I want to make sure they know you have the access to the email address you are registering with. You are not just using somebody's email address or like that. Is email verified? Is email verified? And the help text will be with the question mark, and I want it default to be false. By default, I don't want to I don't want to keep it verified. Otherwise, you know, how would we know, like, who's the user? Did he or she validate the email address or not? And so far, just want to go ahead and go with this one. Let's go ahead and give the objects custom user manager. So now I'm telling, you know, my user class to use custom user manager as an object. So this model can access this create user function by simply passing email and password. You know what, I'm just gonna get rid of this one. Don't want password to be none, obviously. Okay, because here we are using the set password, and if this one's none, it's gonna throw an error to us. So yeah, it's required, it's password. Now what's next? I want to tell my model that username field should be username. Why this way? Why this username field? By default, Django will use email address as the username field. So if I try to go ahead and say, okay, I want the username of Viral Joshi, and Django would give me my email address, you know, like viral@joshi.com. But my email address is not my username. My username is something else. So that's why I'm giving it to, telling Django to use the username field is a username. I also want required fields. Okay, because I told the username field is username, Django knows that, okay, this guy is required. So I'm just gonna say I want email, I want password, and everything. I can allow, you know, to null. I can allow your first name to be null, and I can also allow your last name to be null. I don't have any problem with that, as long as you provide me email, username, and password. And I'll take care of first name and last name on the front end when we actually create a sign up form. But just let Django know, you know, that okay, I'm okay with user not entering their first name or last name. Now class meta. this meta class will handle, you know, the user class details. What happened here? Okay, yeah. So like verbose name for this class, I want just lazy text user. Okay. And if it's you know, verbose name plural, like multiple users, obviously we want to use it users. See the S right behind at the end of the user? Yeah, that makes a huge change. Default Unicode self. I want to return username. I want to keep the identifier username as a unique identifier, so Unicode. I think I should put a couple other functions here. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy it from my notes to save some time. It looks like we have like extended a lot of, you know, time limit right now. And let's go ahead and copy the URL. Okay, so what it's gonna do, if I want absolute URL of the user's profile, like, you know, it will return HTTP. Let's not worry about HTTP. So site, let's say local host port 8822, and then user and Viral. My username is Viral, so this is my absolute URL to view my profile. So my full name, I'm just formatting it. You know, I'm just gonna try the F string here. Python 3.5 or Python 3.6 or greater versions, they support this F string. So instead of format, let me show you the difference. So this is one of the version that you can format, and this is the other version to format. So you just put a double quote and then curly braces in it, and this one, you know, you get confused like how many parameters you have. Right now we have 2 curly braces, so I need to pass 2 parameters. What if I accidentally put, like, you know, third curly brace and don't pass it in, or just one and pass one extra parameter? So instead of, you know, worrying about that, let's just use the F string, and inside each parameter I can specify the variable, and short name for the username user, I just want to pass the first name, and I want to strip it so, you know, it doesn't include like spaces if it has, like, you know, at the beginning of the name and at the end of the name. So in this model, pretty much straightforward. We created a user with which has the username, email, first name, last name, is active, and is email verified or not. We created a custom user manager class that actually creates a user for us, and other supporting functions like, you know, get the absolute URL, get the full name, get the short name, etc, etc. So that's it for this video, guys, in account model, and we will have a lot of other information creating, you know, in the future, finishing the project in the future. So this is just a small version. I know this video took a lot of time, but next time I'll try to make it, you know, shorter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.